Alright. Let me just tweet about this, because you got to tweet about everything. That's me, that's my stream. Alright, so here's the deal. We don't have I can read your tweets, but I can't put them on screen because this is a PC game, not a console like all the other shit that we play. So I can't put Twitter up because the full screen's being used by Super Hexagon. So yeah, just to recap, Tef has very kindly donated to make me play this for a fucking hour, and yeah, I'm very hungover from the stream last night. I don't feel great, and yeah, I probably am going to throw up while this is going on. But I've got me Tisky, so hopefully the will of the Polish people will be with me as I rock the hell out of this game. I haven't played this in flipping ages, so feel free to roast me on Twitter. I can read your stuff, use #TalkingReal. Right, where have I gotten up to? Oh god. Right, let's start easy. Get back into it. Oh god. Let me know if the sound's not working, if there's weird echoes, you can't hear me. Tweet, use the #TalkingReal. Oh my god. Also, this is for charity. justgiving.com/crisis16 is where money was donated to make me play this. Feel free to throw any more money you've got. It's all for a very good cause. Oh, fucking hell, I hate that. You bastard. Right. Very different playing it on this than it was playing it on the iPhone, I can tell you that. Oh. It's the camera spinning that does my head in. Oh, Jesus. That was a bad move. I went the wrong way there. You bastard. Right, we're here for an hour, folks. I wasn't supposed to be streaming today, but I just can't say no to that charity money. Yeah, no. Yeah. Bastard. Thank you, Tef. Don't be sorry. Thank you for your donation. It helps some very good causes. Well, one very good cause. Homeless people will have a place to stay, access to services, food, warmth, and just other people around this Christmas. Thanks to you and everybody else who's donated. We really do appreciate it, and I'm sure they do too. Oh, bastard! Fucking good music though. I love this game so much. What an aesthetic. Yeah! Oh my god. definitely going to throw up before this is done. Woo-hoo! Yeah. Oh dear.
Hexagon.
Oh, here we go. Getting there though. We're getting there. Hi and welcome to Rob's Really Proud of Doing Level 1 of a video game. Man, I have missed so many tube stops because I've been playing this game, just not paying attention. I was going to Canary Wharf once, and I missed my stop, and then I got back on the tube to go in the other direction, started playing it again, missed the stop, so I did it again, missed the stop for a third time. It took 4 attempts to actually get off the damn train thanks to this game. I think the problem is, you see, I'm not being challenged enough. I need to up the difficulty a bit. This is too easy, and that's why I'm messing up. That's at least what I reckon, anyway. Come on. Oh. Shit. So this almost feels quite serene now. Oh. Hopefully there's no echoes from the microphone, but if there is, let me know. I'll try and sort it out. Oh dear. Whoop, 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 yeah! God, what a good game this is. Ah, you bastard! Oh, little fucker. You little fucker. No then. Alright. Let's try. Hexagon. Hexagon? Yeah. No. Here for another 55 minutes, folks. Oh my god, that's doing my head in. Oh no, no then. Why am I using the D-pad? I mean, why aren't I using the D-pad? Well, fine-grained control. You can see that I obviously need it. Feels like I never actually bothered like looking up the analysis of how the patterns and stuff work. Like, I think it's semi-random, maybe? Oh no, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. I can't remember if these are my high scores or if Tef just came over and fucking sat down and was like, yeah, let's just fucking monster these. Oh, Jesus. Ooh, bastard. Oh, man. Yeah. Oh man, I heard this so much. See if we can beat double digits. Oh my god. Oh, the colour palette and everything is fucking hell. Ah. Yeah. Oh, then. I might have to go down a bit in the difficulty. You know, it's going to be the same 10 seconds over and over again. God, it's been like a year since I played this. Oh shit. Right. This is obviously what I have to do. Oh my god! This is ridiculous! Oh no way! This isn't a video game. This is a fucking torture experience. This is some goddamn Clockwork Orange shit. Oh. So intense. Oh my god. Oh my god. I need a moment. With you in a sec, folks. No, big one IRC being nerds. Yes. I don't have Hexagonist yet. Oh shit. Right. I'm gonna try and unlock it. Here we go. 60 seconds is happening right now. This is the one. 8 seconds. It's nearly there.
Game over. Game over.
Such a weird experience to play a game where you're like, hey, I'm only 10 seconds. See, now this just looks, you know, serene. This is a walk in the park. This is comforting. I'll go up the difficulty as the hour progresses.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
Oh no.
5.
Ooh, won't get away with that on later levels. Bastard, I hate that one. good for sucking up time.
Hexagon.
Yes, level 1 complete. I fucked it up immediately. Right, on to level 2.
Game over.
You may remember this is the game that about 3 minutes ago, about 3 hours ago, I was giving out at being great at. That may or may not have been a lie. Maybe I'm bluffing though. Maybe I'm just trying to like hustle. Someone's like, I'll bet you I can do better, and I'm like, that's what it is. I like that one. God, why is it jittering around so goddamn much? It's not just swinging around, it's like wobbling. I feel like I've got the fucking DTs just playing this. Oh my god, that shaking is doing my head in. Okay, so I think the trick with that one is you don't swing too far to the left or to the right, otherwise you won't come back in time. Whereas with this one you have to swing all the way around, otherwise you'll hit it. Yeah, you won't get away with doing that kind of shit.
Game over.
Oh, bollocks. I completely messed that one up. That was mine to have. Yeah, and again, I buggered that up. 15 minutes in. I think I need more lager. Also, some whiskey. Hair of the dog, mate. Oh my god, I'm gonna be spinning when I've done the rest of it. Bollocks! Getting into it though. That one's a real bastard.
Game over.
You little bastard. Bollocks! It was just that bit too slow. I not help my reaction times. Tisky. Oh, that's I'm doing better at this than I did at Smash Bros. That's probably because this isn't trying to get money out of my pocket.
Game over.
Not Smash Bros, Smash TV. I keep calling it that. Oh, we didn't even play it. Did we? No, we did play some Smash Bros, but I didn't play it.
Game over.
Pretty sure I ranted about it not being a real fighting game again. Not like I can play any real fighting games, I just like waving my dick around, you know?
Mine. Game over.
Be more careful. Be more observant.
Game
God, I've had a quid for every time I've heard that in my life. You need to be more observant.
Mine.
I don't know if a plumber will show up in the middle of this fucking thing. Pretty sure I was dressed as Mario when the plumber showed up last time. Should have been like, alright mate, how you like? I'm already on it. Just like lean over him while he's working. Be like, so, professional to professional, what do you think's up with it?
Game over.
JustGiving.com/crisis16 is the donation URL. It would be on the screen, but I set this up while hungover in about 10 minutes, so you can only see me in the game. Sorry.
Mine.
Ooh, now then.
Ryan.
Oh god. I don't feel great.
Game over.
Getting it though. Getting there, getting there, getting there. Don't worry, there's still plenty of time left for the harder modes, folks.
Ryan. Game over.
Bollocks.
Mine. Game over. Mine. Ryan. Game
Sorry I'm not talking much, folks. I'm trying to concentrate. I feel like I'm getting somewhere, you know? I feel like I'm getting into it.
Mine.
Less panicked. But yeah, in answer to the question that I posed in my tweet, it does suck playing this hungover. Don't play it hungover. It's a great game, but not for when you're hungover. Let's see if I can beat this by half
Game
time.
over. Mine. Game over.
That's totally my cup.
Mine. Game over.
12 seconds. It does not feel like 12 seconds. It is an absolute eternity when you're playing it.
Game over. Game over.
Alright.
Game over.
I'm gonna turn the volume down just in case it's causing any weird sound issues. Excuse me. Oh, Christ. No, we'll stick on the spinner until I pass them and try that one again.
Line. Game over. Again. Line. Triangle.
Alright.
Square. Game over.
Oh, getting there. 45 seconds seems to be the 45 seconds seems to be the sticking point at the moment. 3/4 of the way there.
Game over. Again. Line. Triangle.
Oh god.
Game
God.
over. Again.
Ugh.
Game over. Again. Line.
Shit. Oh, I was lucky there. I was lucky. I shouldn't have survived that.
Square. Game over. Again.
Distracted by my neighbours and blaming them. I can't blame the controls because the controls are left and right, so I've got to blame something else.
Line.
Oh, shitting hell. This colour scheme's not especially good when you've got a dodgy head down. Sickly ass green.
Triangle.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Game over. Again. Game over. Again. Game over.
Very
Again. Game over. Again.
Oh,
Game over. Again. Line. Game over.
it's gonna be great when I can't go into work tomorrow after calling sick and I'm like, sorry, I've just got this persistent migraine. And they're like, oh, right, any idea what's brought that on? Not a clue, mate. Not a clue.
Game over. Again.
Yeah, that one's killing me at the moment.
Game over. Again. Line.
Well, you know, it could be worse. It could be Cat Mario.
Game over. Again. Game over. Again. Game over. Again.
Come on, Ralph. Get with it.
Game over. Begin. Line. Game over. Begin. Line. Triangle. Square. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
I'm doing worse. I'm doing worse. I had a couple of 45-second runs and now I'm just fucking it. I'm fucking this turkey.
Line. Game over. Begin. Game over.
Christ, that fucking thing's lost my heart doing it.
Game over. Begin. Line.
Oh dear.
Triangle.
Oh dear.
Game over.
Went the wrong way. Went the wrong way. You can't do it on this level. You've got to take the shortest path or you're screwed.
Game over. Begin. Game over.
I need my lucky hood up. That's what I need. I need my kangaroo buddies with me too. Come on folks, like and subscribe. Oh my god.
Begin.
That has not helped at all. I don't think
Line. Game
yeah,
over.
see, can't go the wrong way.
Line.
Oh, look at that one, that time.
Triangle.
Oh
Game
shit, I
over.
thought I died. So I stopped paying attention, then I did die. It's self-fulfilling prophecy.
Game over.
Oh
Begin.
god. Balls are itchy. Didn't need to know that, but I said it anyway.
Line. Game over.
Yes. Now,
Begin.
let's have another couple of days at this and then we'll bump the difficulty, see how that treats me. Ah!
Line.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I went to bed way too late and I was way too drunk to get some proper sleep. So I'm tired as well as I'm over. Oh, you bastard, you bastard, you bastard, you bastard.
Game
Oh, I
over.
nearly had it.
Begin. Line.
Now then.
Triangle.
I'm a gross human being, I apologise. It's all a good cause, folks. You gotta put up with me as charity, that's how it works.
Square.
It's for charity,
Game
not, you know, I'd probably do with your charity, to be honest. Given how amazing I am at this video game.
Line. Game over. Begin.
Oh,
Game
God, right.
over.
Let's ramp it the fuck up.
Begin.
Oh dear.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
See a theme here.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over again.
Can we beat double digits?
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again.
Ah,
Game
fuck.
over again. Game over
Really intense.
again. Game over again.
God, the spinning, it just doesn't stop.
Game
Like, if the
over.
camera was static, I mean, I realise the point of it, but if the camera was static, it wouldn't quite be so bad, but it's the fact that the camera's wheeling around while the level's wheeling around,
Again.
and then you've got to, like, figure out which the closest direction to go in is, even though it keeps spinning around.
Game over again.
Also, wow, does it alternate directions every time you die? Oh no, I think it just swaps around.
Game over again.
It's an
Game over
anti-clockwise.
again.
Now we're going clockwise. Now we're going anti-clockwise. Okay, so it does just swap around.
Again. Game over again.
Come on, man. Be there, please.
Game
Oh,
over
come on.
again. Game over again.
Sharpen up them reactions.
Game over again. Game
No
over
room for pause in here. You've just got to go, 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 go.
Mine. Game
Oh.
over again. Game over again. Game over again.
Ah, you
Game
fucking
over
arsehole.
again.
You little
Game
bastard.
over
Fucking
again.
Hexagon shit.
Game over again. Game over
Stick
again.
on some Hexagon or whatever it's called. Level 4.
Game
Let's
over again.
see how I do it that.
Game over again. Game over again.
Ooh.
Game over again.
I think this level might be my limit.
Game
Looking
over
at my
again.
performance so far.
Game over again. Game over
Damn it.
again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over again.
Nearly breaking double digits.
Game over again. Game over again.
What even was that?
Game over again.
Murder.
Game over again. Game over again.
Oh, you little fucker!
Again. Game over again. Game over again.
Easy, easy.
Game over. Begin.
That's what you get, folks. That's
Game
hubris.
over. Begin.
Karma is a fucker.
Game over. Begin. 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 Game over. Begin.
Doing? What are you even doing?
Game
Get your
over.
head in the fucking game.
Game over.
Right. Let's try. Hardester. My favourite chain pub. Ugh. Actually, it started doing worse when I put the fucking hood up, didn't I?
Begin.
Oh my god. Oh my god, this taking a
Game
piss.
over. Begin. Game
Bastard,
over.
it still
Begin.
does that little fucking sneaky one. You have to wait and see what they're gonna do.
Begin.
Ah,
Game
fuck.
over. Begin. Nine. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
Come on, we can do better than this.
Game
What's my
over.
best time on this? 30 seconds.
Begin.
I ain't gonna beat that today, but in general, we should.
Game over. Begin.
God, that rotation,
Game
look at it.
over. Begin.
That's what my stomach's doing right now. It's like a look at the inside of my fucking organs.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
Cheers, Chris, for changing the thing, by the way. I read your thing, but I didn't say out. Oh my god.
Game over. Begin.
Over-egged it, over-egged it,
Game over. Begin.
under-egged it.
Game over.
Oh, God.
Begin. Game
The
over.
flash when
Game
you...
over.
What?
Begin. Game over. Begin.
Word.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over.
Wrong
Begin.
way, wrong way.
Game over.
Wrong way, too slow, too slow.
Game over.
Too
Begin.
slow. Be on it, gotta be on it, gotta be on it.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game
Genuinely
over.
is like when you die and you look at the thing and it's like 4 seconds, 6 seconds. I'm like, what? No way! I've been going for hours.
Game over. Begin.
I can do this. It's all for charity. It's all for charity.
9.
Ah, went the wrong goddamn way.
Game over. Begin.
What a
Game
soundtrack
over.
though, eh?
Begin.
This fucking game. And the soundtrack to
Game
me
over.
belching
Begin.
like a fucking ogre.
Game over. Begin. Game over.
What? I just suicided on that one. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Over. Begin.
Whoa!
Game
I don't know
over.
what happened there. Oh. BRB. I've tapped it, tapping me out the damn game. No. Is it starting? Alright. Back on it. Don't worry, injury time will be added on at the end. By injury, I mean buggering about time.
Begin.
Ah!
Game over.
Shit a brick, right. Let's do this. Come on. Come on, subscribe. We got this.
Begin.
That's actually a really bad position to play in it.
Begin.
Sorry, kangaroo, you're gone. Oh my god, this is way too fast.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
I can't tell if the voice is saying begin or again.
Game over. Begin.
I think I assume it's again because of Chop Chop Master Onion. Oh, good. But
Game over. Begin.
I think begin makes more
Game
sense.
over. Begin.
Oh, someone donated 50 quid to make me play this for an hour, folks. That's why I'm doing this. Even though I'm really terrible at playing
Game
Congo.
over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
Whoa.
Game over. Begin.
Spaced out on that one.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over.
Overegged
Begin.
it, overegged it.
Game over. Begin. Game
Oh,
over.
that was a difficult one.
Begin. Game over. Begin.
There's no excuse for that.
Game
that.
over. Begin.
I'm better than that. I'm
Game
better than that,
over.
definitely.
Game over. Begin.
Oh,
Mine. Game over. Begin.
wrong way, wrong way. Oh, you
Mine.
sneaky bugger.
Game over.
Oh, I hate that one. 3 walls kill you, 1 wall's
Game
not.
over. Begin. Game 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 over. Begin.
Well, Taff, you wanted suffering.
Game over.
I hope you've got it. Yeah, look at me. Look at me. Don't look at me. I fucked that right up.
Begin. Game over. Begin.
Yeah.
Game over. Begin. Game
It doesn't even give you
over.
time to
Begin.
study the pattern that you fucked up on either, which is the evil
Game
part.
over.
You
Begin.
had like a practice mode where you could just do one type of pattern over and over again. You could practice it, but you just gotta wait like 50 seconds and it's like, ah, yeah, try this one, you prick.
Mine.
Lucky there. Lucky. I shouldn't have got away
Game
with
over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
that. Super Hexagon is getting finished tonight. Mate, it's the stone cold truth.
Game over. Begin.
JustGiving.com/crisis16 is the URL.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Fine. Game over. Begin. Game over.
Alright, we've got 10 minutes left. Let's try a bit of this.
Begin.
Hardest.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
God.
Game over. Begin. 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 Game over. Begin.
Damn it.
Game over.
Okay. Need to concentrate.
Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
Got it spinning.
Game over. Begin. 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 Game over.
I really like games that let you just start over again really quickly.
Game over.
Super Meat Boy is another great example of it. Just do it until you get it fucking right. Apparently Hotline Miami is too, although I've never actually played that. We never played it on the stream either, surprisingly. Maybe we'll do that next time. And there will definitely be a next time, thanks to all the wonderful donations that we received. I say we received, Crisis received, we don't see a penny of it, but you know.
Game over. Begin.
Oh my god.
Game
Yeah.
over. Begin.
Don't drink ever, kids. It's
Game
bad.
over.
It's bad for you. It's bad for your brain.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
Okay, if I can't do this, I'm going to try and beat level 3 so I can unlock level 6.
Game
Oh, you
over.
little
Begin.
fucker.
Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin.
Oh my
Game
god.
over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over.
Too
Begin.
slow, too slow. Start slowing down. You
Game
need to speed up.
over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game over. Begin. Game
Too
over.
slow. Too
Game
goddamn
over.
slow.
Game over. Begin. Game over again.
I think this is the first PC game we've ever streamed on top of
Game
actually.
over.
So, nice work on that one, everybody.
Game over again. Game over again.
Get away with that on level 5, come on now.
Game over again.
Just a little too late.
Game over
A little
again.
too late.
Game over
Rubbish.
again.
What was that?
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again. Mine. Game
Oh, that was a decent run then.
again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over again.
The trick is, don't try and look at your little arrow. Look at the segments that are coming.
Game over.
Because those don't actually change size. They rotate around, but you can kind of orient yourself on them.
Game
Oh,
over.
look at that.
Again.
Just too close.
Game over again.
Nowhere near close.
Game over again. Game over
You
again.
can't just be doing the pattern you're on, you've got to be looking ahead and thinking where to position yourself for that one too. Especially when you've got choices of multiple ways to go.
Game
Oh,
over
bugger.
again. Game over again.
Ah, come on now.
Game over again.
Still less frustrating than Sonic 2006. Or Cat Mario.
Game over again. Game over.
Alright, let's try and beat level 3. Ah.
Again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over again. Game
Too
over
slow on that
again.
one, way too slow. I feel myself going too slow.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again.
Jesus. I wasn't even supposed to be streaming today.
Game over
Oh, I
again.
wasn't even supposed to be here.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again.
Get in there, get in there. You watch, you get to 50 seconds in and something will pop
Game
me.
over again. Game over again.
It's a bit rich though. Let's get to 50 seconds before I worry about being home for 50 seconds. Okay, come on.
Game
Swung
over
it way too far around.
again.
With more fine control.
Game over again. Game
Yeah,
over.
again. Swung it far too far around.
Game over again.
Stuck.
Game
See, why did I go all the way
over
around? I should have
again.
stayed in the one closer.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over
You
again.
can't half-arse this. You have every
Game
fucking
over
millisecond every millisecond you're not moving towards where you need to be is that much more likely you're going to
Game
die.
over again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over again. Game
That
over
was
again.
no, what was it?
Game over again.
Not paying attention.
Game
Oh, I should have
over
gone a bit further with it.
again. Game over.
What's this? Someone's talking to me and I see. Yeah, this Iridium, this shark costume is going the fuck in the washing machine, I'll tell you that.
Game over again. Game over again.
Yeah, now then.
Game
No.
over.
See, you get cocky, you get fucked. That's how it works.
Game over
Totally
again.
down.
Game over again.
Inattentive.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over.
What's Taff saying? Oh,
Again.
an hour-old message.
Game over. Again. Game over again. Game
Bollocks.
over again. Game 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 over again.
Go for another 5 more minutes, I think, and then my brain may well shut down. I'll check the donation page, see if anyone's fucking donated any money to get me to do any stupid shit, because, you know, we used to have kind of like donation tiers, and if you donate this to charity, we'll do this, and if you donate this, but it usually just devolves into give us some fucking money and tell us what you want to do, and within reason we'll fucking do it, because why the hell not? It's all for a good cause. Helps some people out who are otherwise going to have a pretty shitty Christmas.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over again.
Oh, you fucking fuck. You absolute
Game
fucking
over
fuck. You
again.
fucking fuck.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again. Mine. Game over again.
Well said.
Game over again. over again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over
That was just sloppy.
again.
That was just sloppy. I didn't deserve to get that.
Game over again. Game over again. Game over again. Game over.
Alright. Oh, dear me. I'm gonna take a moment. Oh my god. Let's show you this fucking stuff down here, man. We've got shot glasses, martini glasses, we've got Jack Daniels, we've got fucking Holston pills, we've got Polish lager. Oh my god, there's still some in there. Holy shit. Bottles of wine, we've got some posh craft beers with the fancy ass tins. And also, let us not forget, Spiritus Deluxe, not for human consumption. At least straight out of the fucking bottle anyway. Is it any wonder I'm fucking hungover? Let's see how the Just Giving page is looking. Remember folks, this all goes straight to charity. And thank you so much to everyone who's donated. I'm looking at the amount now and I can't even believe it. That is like, if I'm not doing the maths wrong, 4, 8, 12, 6, that's, oh my god. It's like more than 30. 30 plus, I don't know how many more. 35? 40 maybe? Point is, it's a shitload of people who are going to be in a shelter with food and warmth and other people and access to addiction services and counselling and whatever help they want is there for them as a result of Christmas crisis centres. And the reason they're there is because of your donations and you're spreading about me killing myself on stream. Oh God Almighty! Oh, I'm gonna do it again because I'm a masochist. Here we go.
Game over again.
I think it's just Stockholm syndrome at this point. I just can't stop playing games.
Game over.
Alright, yeah, no, I'm done. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, for this impromptu, last-minute, unplanned little stream. I hope that was a sufficient amount of suffering to justify the donation. Between this and Smash TV, I am thoroughly video gamed out. But if you've donated, thank you. If you've watched and you're not able to donate, thank you as well. If you are able to donate and you're considering doing so, even literally a penny will help out. justgiving.com/crisis16. That's crisis16 is the donation URL. So thanks very much, everybody. I'm sure some other fucker is going to throw a ridiculous amount of money at the charity, and then I'll end up back here again in another couple of hours playing some other fucking nonsense. But until then, enjoy your Sunday. I am off to die. See you later. No, not again.
Game over.
See you later. Bye bye. Thank you and bye.